Okay guys, what is good? You might notice this is kind of a different format because I am talking over my lifting right now. So, there's a couple things I want to go over today. First of all, we're going for a 1 rep max today. I'm not going to spoil it too much, but it was a pretty good session. So, basically how I want to do this is I'm going to be discussing a topic while I warm up, and then going over some technique stuff while I'm going into the heavier stuff. First things first I want to talk about is well, just your central nervous system, which I'm gonna call short form CNS, okay? I'm gonna say that for the rest of the video. Basically, have you ever... Oh, sorry. Something guys should really try is wake up in the morning and just try to squeeze your hand as hard as you can. Have you ever done this? You're like, what the hell? Like, I kind of feel weak. But then you realize, well, at some point throughout the day, I could squeeze my hand really hard. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, when you first wake up, your CNS is just not really quite there. So, this brings me to something. I'm not sure if you guys can relate, but for me personally, I find there's days I'll be an off day and be like, awesome, it's an off day, I'm gonna have an amazing day at the gym. And I wake up, and I eat breakfast, and I take my supplements and whatnot, and then I just lie in bed until I'm ready to go to the gym. And then, even through my warm-up sets, and I get to my first set, I'm like, I don't really feel like I'm all there. I'm kind of in that morning sense where I'm squeezing my hand and I can't feel it. I just can't contract my muscles as hard. So my universal tip here is literally do anything before the gym. And I really do mean anything. Now, here's where we get into some nitty gritty stuff. Of course, you don't want to do something that's like, oh my god, I'm going to have time for this before the gym. Ideally, something non-stressful. I think the perfect thing to do is anything that requires some level of concentration. Because this is going to warm your CNS up without lifting. Okay, that's very important. Because you can also do stuff that might just ruin it. Like, don't go on a run, don't do cardio before you lift. That's just going to make your lift a lot worse. So, like, just for me, that's walking my dog, doing the laundry, unloading the dishwasher, like literally just any little thing where your brain has to think and do goes a really long way. So that's my main tip for this video. Literally do anything to warm your CNS up. It's super important, and I think it's a really good game changer. Now, keeping on this topic before the weight gets too heavy here, something also about CNS is stress. And I know a lot of you guys out there can relate. When you're stressed, you're not quite there. It's really hard to push because your mind's elsewhere. Now, you might notice here, you're like, Reese, what are you doing with your arms before your bench? Now, might not be true for everyone, but I think personally, everyone that lifts should have some kind of cue, like just to get them in the zone before you lift. As you kind of see while I'm doing my wraps here, when I bench, I'll just kind of stick my arms out, give them a little wiggle, and I just get really in the zone. That's just my thing. It might not work for you, but for me, like here I go. Yeah, so I just do that, I just get locked in. I just think of bench press and nothing else is on my mind. For squats, you'll see in a future video, I'll kind of do this like bend back thing so I can get a real good shelf for the bar to sit. Yeah, just having some kind of cue. Like there's been way too many times I've been lifting with people, or I see some of my friends at the gym, and they go from talking to me to instantly into the set. It's like, hey man, take a breath or two, like really focus. Like this stuff's important. You don't want to just go in it not focusing. Think about like doing a test. You're not gonna go in and do a test where you're just not really focusing and your mind's elsewhere. Same thing goes with lifting here. Some kind of cue that helps you just lock in and really focus, I think is super important here. So look at me, I'm just shaking my arms. I'm just like, okay, let's do this thing. Okay, that's kind of the topic I wanted to talk about today. Let's go with some technique. Now, let's go over leg drive here first. Now you probably notice a lot of people do a lot of different things with their feet. And honestly, I'm not going to say there's any right answer. What I've been liking here is you might notice my feet are hugged against the very end of the bench. Now what I try to do is I try to pin my calves in, so when I push with my legs, it goes against my calves. For me, personally, this helps me not let my butt lift off the bench, which is if you're ever gonna compete, as you should know, you can't do that. So for me, like hugging the bench like that really helps. The only downside about this, maybe this is just at my gym, but when I'm in that position, I'm not perfectly aligned on top of the bar. Or not, sorry. This is what I mean. See, when I lift off here, my arms are not going to be perfectly straight. I bring them out, which is normal, but generally your eye level is right under the bench. And with this form, I can't quite get that. It's only a little bit weird. And there's like this little ridge area that's like on my bench. So like my root outs feel a little weird, but overall I love this technique. I feel like I can push a lot harder through my legs and not have to worry about my butt coming off the ground. I don't know. For me, it works really good. I used to do another one where I just got my feet back as far as possible. The benefit of that is you'll have greater consistent tension throughout the entire lift, but I find you can't get that good press off like when you go to actually like press the weight off your chest. I don't know, that was iffy. Then of course there's having your feet out on an angle, like just with your quads. It's also good. I just feel like I can't arch as hard. And I know everyone's not a big fan of arching, but hey guys, this is powerlifting, okay? Sometimes you gotta do stuff that's crazy. Now with this form specifically with my feet, you might notice I don't arch that much. If you go back to my old videos, I can arch a good amount more, but I think this is worth it because I get to push so much harder through my quads. Okay, this is 265, going for a nice pause. Now I remember not being too happy with that pause, but still overall happy. It moves pretty well. Now this is our last warm-up set here. We got our buddy Murr helping us out. Again, I'm getting in the zone. It's so important, guys. We'll rush this stuff. Another thing I'll quickly go over is Reese. If you're gonna be a powerlifter that's not equipped, why are you using wrist wraps? Why are you using sleeves? For me, wrist wraps actually don't increase my bench at all. All they do is make sure my wrists don't get really sore from benching, and I bench a lot. I normally do like 8 sets of bench a day. This is a little bit less. Oh yeah, that moved really nicely. But yeah, I just find go harder. Sorry. Go harder when you're in training, but of course, make sure your body's nice and recovered by the time you compete. Okay, here's the big lift. I'll stay quiet for this one. This is a big PR for me. Come on. It was a grind. You almost touched that bar. Yeah, again, I can push so hard through my quads there. I feel like that's the only reason why I even got it. Yeah, super happy about that, guys. Okay, then I did one more set of regular bench here. Wasn't the greatest because I'm pretty fatigued and all that. But I think it's still good to get their volume in. Now, something else you might notice in future videos here is, as a powerlifter, generally you don't go super hard on every single set. But for me personally, bench is just not that fatiguing. Some people can handle different levels of fatigue, and some people just get less or more fatigue on certain exercises. Me, bench, good. Now, should I probably reduce some of the intensity in my lighter days? Yeah, I probably should, and that's stuff I'm going to experiment with. Dedicated powerlifting talk, I haven't really been doing this that long, but I do know a lot and I have a lot of good information going into this stuff, so I'm super excited to see where my powerlifting career can go. Okay, now we're on the incline. This was a good incline day. My all-time record for pause reps with 2 plates on incline is 6. And kind of spoiler, I got 5 reps on all 3 of my sets here. Now, why incline bench? For me, I'm never gonna do a shoulder press because my front delt gets murked so hard in this exercise. Even when I'm not trying to hunch over, like you can notice my shoulder blades are still very much back. I'm still doing a lot of chest here. My front delts are done. So for me, I literally, for my chest days, just bench and incline bench. Now, is there a merit to maybe only regular benching just for pure get better at the movement? Yeah, but I do still care about my physique, so I do want some upper chest development. That's just me though. But yeah, incline bench is a great variation, really helps your shoulders grow. And then this way, I find personally, I don't need to do another shoulder press set because this, again, mercs my front delt so hard. And again, you might also notice my pauses are definitely better in incline. I don't know why, but they just feel so much easier to do pauses on. And again, with my incline bench, you might notice my feet. I used to do this thing where I like tuck them under, but I kind of push out to the side here. And might look like my butt's off the ground, but it really isn't. As long as some kind of contact's on there, it feels good. Okay, now we're gonna wrap this up. Going into our last set here. I got my buddy spotting me. Yeah, I hope you guys learned a thing or two about how to warm up your CNS, do something before. Now, mind you, I should sneak this in here before we go. That's because I train in the morning, generally on my off days. If you're an afternoon kind of guy, you probably don't need to worry about doing something before you warm up, because, well, I hope you've done something before you go to the gym if you're training in the afternoon or night. But yeah, taking the last rep here. Okay, well, thank you guys so much for watching. Definitely come back for future tips and all that. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later. Bye bye.